Hello again, everyone. Welcome back to the Best Darn Did the Review Show. This is a weekly podcast for anyone who loves The Simpsons or ever has loved The Simpsons, hosted by two dudes that grew up on The Simpsons. My name is Miles, better known as Mr. Most Days Off, and today we have got a pretty rad episode to talk about, in my opinion. One of the first ones that's in a while that I have, very fond memories of watching this one as a youngster, and I'm excited to talk about it, so I'm going to kick it off to your co-host with the most, Richie the Whiz Kid. How you doing today, Rich?
I'm doing good. My last note I have on this episode, better ep than the last few have been. So, yeah, I thought this was, thank you for what you're currently doing, by the way. I thought this was...
that sounds very, very interpretational right there. I'm going to let the listeners at home decide what you think that action is.
And then we'll let you know by the end, if we remember, which we'll probably forget. So...
Either way, something got bigger.
I think we're going to enjoy this one, have some fun. Maybe we should go ahead and get going then so we don't have to wait any longer. Let me throw it back to you. The man, the myth. He's now 30% less stank. It is Miles.
Yeah, dude. Today we are talking about Children of a Lesser Clod. Which right off the bat, the title on that one is, of course, a parody of the Broadway production Children of a Lesser God, which opened in New York in March of 1980 and ran for 887 performances, won the 1980 Tony Award for Best Play. So we've got a little in-joke right there to get it started. This episode did originally air on May 13th, 2001. Which is right around Mother's Day, if not Mother's Day, which made the chalk gag very funny because it was today is not Mothra's Day. Mm-hmm. And we get the couch gag on this one, which is a repeat, but it is The Simpsons as crash test dummies.
And then Homer's head falls off when they back up.
Yeah, that does happen. That's true. Mm-hmm. I'm going to go ahead and say on this one, I was actually excited to listen to the commentary track for this one, which
I bet there's not a lot. I'm just going to throw that out there.
Oh, I bet there's less than you're going to expect, even with those expectations. First, let me say that the writer of this episode was present. It was Al Jean, along with Mike Scully, Ian Maxtone Graham, Mike Anderson, Matt Selman, Tom Gamble, Max Tross, and via Burbank, California, Michael Pacino, who is the director of this episode, coming in on the, whatever the 2000s era of Skype was at the time, or Zoom, I guess now. Unfortunately, though, I believe my season 12 DVDs may be in a little less than perfect condition because the episode itself had one point where it actually skipped when I was just playing the episode regularly, but pretty much the entire commentary track was completely impossible to watch. It was just skipping way too much. The one bit of information that I was able to get was right off the bat talking about how while I ended up going to Rainier Wolfcastle, they really wanted to get an actual NBA player to play that role at the beginning, but pretty much all of them were opposed to being parodied as hunting humans for whatever reason. They also did talk about how the gymnastics teacher, Lugosh, was a parody of the coach Bela Caroli, I believe it is. He's a very famous, he's probably somebody that most people know, even if they don't realize they know them, because basically anytime you see an Olympic montage, that Olympic girl that was carried out, she had messed up her knee and she went on to compete anyway. He's the coach that was carrying her out.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of what her name is. Now Carrie something.
I keep saying Carrie too, and now it's.
But now I'm am I just thinking it's because he was Carrie? No, it is. It's Carrie Strug. Carrie Strug is the name of the woman who competed. Coach Bella Caroli, I believe it is how you say it. That is who this is parodying. And we will see that character again because he comes back in the season 13 episode, Little Girl in the Big Ten.
I'm getting to the point now where you start saying episode names and I don't know what they are.
Yeah,
So,
I'm kind of in the same boat. I'm obviously just reading that as if I know what I'm talking about, and I do not.
that's going to become more normal the further along we go, I feel like.
I have a lot of practice that in my everyday life, so I think it's going to go all right. But yeah, unfortunately, from this point forward, the commentary track is not listenable on my copy of the DVD, so you're just going to have to take our interpretations for it. We open up the episode with the Simpsons all at the open house for the YMCA, which Richie already alluded to, having 30% less stank, just like me. I love this. The YMCA rep basically is like, welcome, everybody. Tonight you can sample all of our classes for free, and if you like them, you can pay for the membership fee and enroll. And just like, as if he's killing it with the crowd, they just all start erupting in laughter. And even he's like, yeah, I know. We'll never see any of you again.
True.
This bit with Abe and Burns is really fun only because it's historically accurate, and that just is really fun for the Burns character in general. They're playing an over 85 basketball league, which includes playing in actual peach baskets, which is how the game originated. But at some point prior to this point, or after this point, I should say, they realized it'd be smart to cut the bottoms of the peach baskets out. In this case, they just use a ladder and take turns. Which is how they got to such a high-scoring game of 3-1.
Why didn't they just have like a stick or something that they could like try to pop it out from underneath with? I don't know.
Right. Or again, just cut a hole in it and you're good. We also cut to Lisa, who's attending a gymnastics class along with the twins and a couple of other Springfield Elementary School girls. But Lugos, the gymnastics coach we were talking about a moment ago, he is in a very like thick accent talking about how he escaped Germany by cartwheeling over the Berlin Wall. When the class laughed, he growls that he's not kidding. And he points at Lisa, who he thinks at first might be a good candidate for gymnastics. Ah, what a little angel! How old are you?
8.
8? Too old! Go home, Grandma! I'm sorry, little girl. Lugos must go next door to anger management classes. Worthless anger management class. I hate it so much. I spit on it. Man, that actually felt kind of therapeutic. I'm not going to lie. I should do a bad German accent more often.
Oh, see, was it supposed to be German? I always took him as...
He cartwheeled over the Berlin Wall.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess
so, yeah.
He could just do that as a traveler, but I don't think that's what was implied.
You are right on the... I mean, I guess if West Berlin's going to be in that direction.
We see what Bart is up to at the YMCA, and he cuts to what is described in the script as a black man in a gangsta-type outfit. And the dude's like, yo, boy, this class is tight. You go from slopper to proper.
Cool.
And when Bart walks in, he's surprised to see the socialite woman that we've seen before, actually. I think at the country club, possibly.
Mm-hmm.
Teaching etiquette classes, the proper young man. And Bart is like, but the black guy outside said,
are you accusing my husband of misleading you? Good gracious, I should just be I should bust a cap in your ass.
Richie's a little too white for that line, but other than
that... I also
a
little too blind for... Man, what's wrong with me today? I'm just not here.
It's because he refuses not to turn his head sideways as he does this podcast.
There you
go. We cut to the basketball court where, excuse me, Homer, along with Lenny, Skinner, Carl, a bunch of people, Professor Frink, who's got the flubber shoes on, Mo. Dude, I'm not a sneakerhead like our guest last week.
Oh my
But
gosh.
Mo's shoes were so cool, dude.
Yeah, right?
The purple and blacks, I wanted a pair of those.
I've been having this conversation in real life because, that's where we live. And
for now,
I feel like, oh man, that's kind of messed up and accurate. I just kind of feel like the older I get, the more into shoes I'm starting to become for some reason. I don't know what it is.
Interesting.
I used to never care about shoes, but like every year now, I'm like, oh man, like even my safety shoes at work, I see people wearing some in, and I'm like, oh, those are cool.
Pretty fly for a piece of safety equipment.
Guy.
We do get a little nod to the movie Flubber here, where Professor Frink has actually coated his shoes with Flubber, which is now another Disney-owned property, so it's totally fine. But he does end up like bouncing all over the place. Oh, this is where we get the bit where it's Rainier Wolfcastle's here. The YMCA guy is like going to announce them. And now, before we begin, fitness buff Rainier Wolfcastle would like to say a few words about the Springfield YMCA.
Oh, hello. I have purchased the Springfield YMCA. I plan to tear it down and turn the land into a nature preserve, where I will hunt the deadliest game of them all, man.
Dun, dun, dun.
Now, let's play ball.
Again, I'm not sure why they couldn't get an actual NBA player to do that role. And I'm only partially kidding, because like I feel like somebody would have had like the sense of humor to be like, yeah, man, I don't care. No one's going to think I'm actually shooting men. I don't know, though. There's probably a lot of like legal fees with that. And I know that basketball is one of the sports where like the merchandise licensing deals are insane. So like it could be something where they don't want to do anything that might piss off like Nikes or Kellogg's because they don't want to like lose the, cereal or shoe promotion or whatever.
Money drives the world, people.
It's true. Yeah. My money don't jiggle because I don't have any.
Aww.
Let's fold this one up and keep going. The games gets going. It's like just street ball, pickup game between all the Springfield adult men, essentially. I do love we get like
it's 35 and over league.
Yeah, that's right. But I guess 35
to 85.
Yeah, or 35 to 84, really.
Yeah, there you go. And we're back.
I do like Lenny takes a like really weak foul, and then he just decides to take the ball and go home.
Well, he tries to go like, "Hey, are Lenny taking off?" And then he jumps up in the air and runs into whoever it is. He purposely runs into somebody.
He like dives into Mo and then calls a foul on him.
Which technically Mo is in the right here because he's not moving and he's not within the arch under the basket there. So it's legal.
But I don't expect the calls to fall Mo's way if I'm being honest. Not unless he's going up against like Mole Man. Mo points out, hey, that's not your ball.
And then Lenny looks back like, and then starts going out the door.
And this is where we see Rainier Wolfcastle come on screen and cock his gun.
The chase begins.
We also get a point where basically somebody is like it's Homer is hyping up Carl. And Carl's like, man, I'm so sick and tired of everybody just assuming that I'm good at basketball because I'm African American. But then he follows that up with like a spinning 360 tomahawk dunk that shatters the backboard.
Fair enough. And he can also dunk from the free throw line.
Yeah, there's a lot of homages to Michael Jordan and very much Space Jam vibes on this, which, they couldn't have... When did Space Jam come out? That was like, what, 99?
Late 90s. I was going to say like 96, 98. I'm going to say 98.
96, actually.
Oh, that was so close.
So this is a few years after that, but like the scene where Homer is like imagining that he can fly, like, and he goes into outer space, that gave me Space Jam vibes, literally because it's space jamming, if to be fair. But this also gave me a little bit of Space Jam vibes, just with the dunk from the half court line.
We're starting to get old here, people. You're gonna have to excuse us for our attitude today.
Hey, we're gonna adjust our onions on our belt and get on with the rest of this show right now. I promise. Back in my day, when Space Jam was a good movie starring an actually talented basketball player. I think I just insulted LeBron.
Yeah, you did.
Shots fired. I meant every word of it.
Well, I mean, to be fair, those shots won't go in from our side.
Well done. We get Willie. Fun. This is one of those moments from this episode specifically that like you remember because Willie gets the ball and like gets a breakaway, and it's because nobody will guard him because his kilt is blowing up, essentially exposing his raw buttocks. Which that was actually I lied about the commentary. There was one more thing I got to see on the commentary or hear on the commentary, I should say. And that was Al Jean professing his love for what he considers to be the golden era of The Simpsons, seasons 4 through 11, when male ass was allowed to be shown. And then he joked about, or even talked about more so, just the hilarity it was to him that they prohibited them from using male ass going forward from like this point on, essentially. But when they would play the reruns from the previous seasons, if there was male rear nudity in them, they would still show that. And that would usually come on earlier in the day when kids were more likely to be watching. So it really like just makes zero sense on that one. Moon's out, man. Homer
that was a good one. You had
Homer is bringing his team together. He's got Skinner and Moe in a huddle, and he's got a play, a secret play that I've been saving for the Olympics or possibly the Final Four. And it goes something like this. Skinner, I want you to block for Carl. Moe, you take Professor Frink. Homer, you take Groundskeeper Willie. No way I'm taking Groundskeeper Willie. Yes, you are. You're a team player or not. I love the conversation he has with himself in this one. It's really, he's like giving himself a pep talk and talking back to himself as coach.
Yeah, and like honestly, I was having fun with this one right at the get-go. Like I was in it. I was having a joyous occasion for all. Like what was not to like here, man? Besides,
the sport, like
Willie's Wang.
I mean, I don't know.
Willie's Willie.
Maybe I'm speaking from like a place of ignorance here, but I think that going to a rec center or a YMCA like place is an experience that most people have at least had at one point, right? Like, so I feel like getting to see the Simpsons kind of experience this phenomenon that we all knew growing up at some point was just really interesting and really cool and kind of fun to see what everybody was up to, though noticeably Marge seems to not have much to do there.
But it was fun for us.
Right? We get the secret play in the works, and it starts by Skinner noticing an untied shoelace that he finds a strategic place to kneel down on one knee and retie, and just as he does, Homer launches himself off of Skinner's back.
Eat my dust, mortals!
He's going hard at the backboard, and he actually ends up overshooting it a little bit. It's a huge jump, and instead of dunking the ball, he ends up landing one of his legs into the rim, which looks painful as it could be. But even after a loud cracking noise, he assures us he's okay. But then the backboard completely starts to fall, collapse, and shatter to the ground. Ooh. We immediately cut to...
I mean, his plan worked, Miles. His plan
everything worked except the execution of the dunk.
Yeah.
The dunk left him in the hospital where we cut to, and we see Dr. Hibbert giving him the bad news.
Homer, I'm afraid you've torn out your anterior crucial ligaments.
Better known as the ACL, most people, I think, have heard it as. But I do love Homer's response here. Did you say anterior?
Flip page. Yes.
Ah! Hibbert asks him how this happened, and we get the beginning of a pretty fun little running gag with Homer. Maybe a little morphine would refresh my memory. Hibbert pulls out a needle and gives him a stick. I don't know. I'm still a little hazy.
Well, how did this happen?
Hey, man, you're harsh in my butt. No, I like. First of all, we get the line. Now I remember it like it was yesterday.
It was just a couple hours ago.
Hey, man, you're harsh in my buzz. Homer recalls that he was on an outdoor court, a basketball court, at night by himself. And he went up to dunk, but he jumped so hard that he shot into outer space, like I spoke of earlier, past a shuttle, past the moon, all the way to the rings of Saturn, which acted as a makeshift basketball hoop that he was able to dunk through. And while he was standing on absolutely nothing, he dumped through it afterwards when he got hit by the Jetsons. So while he was celebrating standing on absolutely nothing in space, bigger than the planets for some reason, a miniature George Jetson in his futuristic space car came by and ran right into Homer's knees. Jetson!
Run!
We cut back to real life where Homer Hibbert is like, oh God, we got to get this guy to spinal surgery.
So, I mean, Hibbert's giving him a run for his money on this. It's going to be the highest bill anyone's ever seen.
I like, though, even when Hibbert's like, we've got to get him to surgery, he's like, maybe a little morphine would get me there quicker. He's like, at this point, like, whatever, here you go.
Yes.
We get a kind of funny moment from Lisa when she talks about so many. They're looking at their father. Homer is on the operating table, which he's always in the room that has the like observance area that you can like view it as like you're like a student studying these things.
Yeah.
This is like so many times have we seen our father go under the knife.
Which I want to point out, like, is it always? Well, I guess sometimes it's Dr. Nick, but it's I was trying to figure out like how good at bad is Dr. Hibbert at being a doctor, because eventually you would think you have to be hitting a wall where you have to send them to a specialist or somebody that is more qualified, but whatever.
Yeah, that's true. I do love, though, I mean, I guess he's the type of doctor that has it where if you get so many surgeries, you get a free hysterectomy. Because Marge is only one away, she claims. We see that Homer's operation is a success, but he is going to need some time to recover. And he's going to need to be in a wheelchair for like 2 weeks. And I love, well, first, he still doesn't have to miss work. And he's like, miss work? But my life would be nothing without the nucleon plants. Hibbert points out that he's responsible for a hefty hospital bill, which is why he should not have ordered all those hospital haircuts and porno films.
But Dr. Screwlittle sounded like a delightful romp. Well, you don't have to worry about the bill. We've never welched on a bear! Run!
And Homer does the point and run method, but he's got a knee injury, a torn ACL, so he almost immediately falls to the ground, clutching his leg in pain. And then the best part, this is the ending of the act, but the best part is while he's sitting on the ground crying, an actual bear walks up and is just like kind of observing what's happening.
And immediately hurts the leg that he just got out of the hospital getting fixed.
And we missed it in there somewhere, but I love it when Homer's being told he's going to be on bed rest. He's like, what do you mean I'm going to have to sit on a couch and watch TV for 2 weeks? That sounds nothing like me at all. But that was one of those acts. It was 5 minutes and 47 seconds, which is only a little shy of its fair share of a third. But man, it feels like a shit ton happens in that 5:45, right?
Yeah, it did. And like, I honestly kind of just like, I know the point of the episode is you're going to hurt somehow, so we got to figure out what to do. But like, even though I say it like that, I feel like it wasn't as random as it kind of was, if that makes any sense. Like, it seems like a good beginning point, This
episode ties together better, and I think I hear what you're saying. And that, like, a lot of times it feels like the first act, it almost doesn't matter what happens. It's just what happens at the end of the act affects the rest of the episode. This one, it feels more connected, and it might just be because Homer ends up doing something that makes him more of like an active part of his community, and this essentially started at a community center. So I'm kind of grasping for straws on that, if I'm being honest, but it sounded pretty good when I said it, so I think that's a possibility.
Let's go with it.
This is the type of commentary you get when I don't have any actual insight from the commentary track.
This will be your commentary track for today. Oh wait, what are we doing?
We open up our second act with Marge pushing Homer out of the hospital on the wheelchair. I will point out we do get, and this is from IMDb for what it's worth, but we do get a couple of interesting wardrobe changes for Homer that we're not used to seeing. We see Homer in both a pair of jean shorts and khaki shorts during this episode, which is unusual, as he's usually wearing jeans or obviously like a bathing suit in some scenes, but not usually jean shorts or khaki shorts.
I think he might have been in one or both when they were in Africa.
You know what? Very possible, but it does say on IMDb that there was a couple of new character models made for him for this episode.
Well, I am going to go against IMDb on this one, Miles, and I'm sticking to it.
You know what? It also mentions, and this is jumping the gun, but it also mentions that he delivers his former catchphrase, and it's listed as frosty chocolate milkshakes. And I don't recall that, and I would not count that as being a catchphrase for Homer. Has he said that sentence in the past? Yes. Is that a catchphrase? No, not even a little bit.
We're hitting you with some hard truths today, ladies and gentlemen.
That's just like my opinion or whatever, but like that's how I feel about the subject. Oh man. Yeah, so Marge is pushing Homer out of the hospital from the on his wheelchair. Again, he's told he needs to stay off his leg for 2 full weeks. This is where we get the joke. I just jumped the gun again, but this is where he gets the joke about how he's going to have to stay off of his leg for 2 weeks. And he's like, oh, no, I'm going to have to watch TV and sit on the couch. And then they literally cut to him watching TV and sitting on the couch. But this time, just because he's not able to do anything else, Homer starts to get mopey about it. And he's kind of like, oh, man, everybody's having fun but me.
No, poor baby.
And you would think that, right? But actually, weirdly enough, it seems like everybody in Springfield has a new hobby, because as Homer looks through the front window, he sees things like Lenny playing with a hoop that he's just guiding down the sidewalk with a stick. Carl is going the other way on a pogo stick. And Barney dressed like a child, and I don't really know how to explain that other than it's just very childlike clothing, a little baseball cap and everything. He comes and knocks on the door and asks if Homer can come out to play. Marge gives him the bad news, and then then Barney's like, well, Mrs. Simpson, can I have some Jell-O?
Nope.
Shoo! You shoo, Barney Gumble. It's very weird how this very polite request for Jell-O was met with violence from Marge. It does make me wonder if all those things they say about how those blue-haired women get too aggressive.
Fair enough, but a joyous summer activity where Barney's trying to bust his buddy out of prison, and it just doesn't go well.
Yeah, Homer's getting lonely, and you can tell when he suggests that he could hang out with Abe, Bart, and Lisa, which arguably he would want to hang out with Lisa for real, but Abe and Bart are two people he usually actively avoids seeing. But Bart has a baseball game in 15 minutes. Lisa is going to the rally for Take Back the Afternoon. And Abe is pleasantly surprised at the fortunate position that he's found himself in.
So the tables have turned. Oh, now you have the shut-in, and I'm the hip young dude.
He does like the cracking, like kind of cool guy cracking his fingers motion.
Ow! There goes my wagging finger.
Homer's just like, oh, I'm so bored.
Oh, come on. There's lots of ways to pass the time. Hitch up your pants, air whittle, making friends with a Chinese man.
We see an Asian man enter the room, and he says, Mr. Simpson, you weren't supposed to leave the home.
Thank you, Ping Pong.
My name is Craig.
Sure it is.
And the racism of old people is something that we as a society still get to laugh at to this day. So that joke hasn't really aged well, but it also has aged about the same as our society has. So I think it's fair.
Yeah. Well put.
We cut outside and we see Homer is. Oh no, I'm sorry. It's out in the front of the house from where we were. It's basically in the living room. I don't know. It's just worded weird in the script for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Homer gets the idea that he is going to crossbreed the family pets. He's going to get the cleanliness of a dog and the loyalty of a cat. He takes both animals and just throws them into a burlap sack and ties it off. You hear the sounds of obvious fighting. And when Homer peeks in the bag, he's like, "No, what are you doing? That's not how you breed, or that's not how you do it." But they both go flailing and fleeing for their life out the door. And they do look very disturbed by what just happened.
Well, I don't know what Homer's going to do now because this isn't going so. His recovery is about as good as his is our podcast today.
I feel like with Mikey B not fucking it up, this flow has been going pretty well, actually, sir. I don't know what you're talking about. I love it when things are awkward on a time we have a guest, because I will 100% throw that person under the bus. No doubt.
Yeah.
I love the timing, and I'm kidding. I love Mikey B. I'm glad the heart attack didn't kill him. I really mean that. The more I say it, the more it sounds like I don't. But I do.
Come back.
And that's the important part, is I do. Unlike the Rachel character, we'll probably have him back on the show again one day. The weird thing about this scene is, like, the door opens, like, it basically, like, Santa's little helper and Snowball 2 are, like, trying to escape. The door opens and, like, the Flanders are just, like, walking in. And Homer's immediately like, "Oh, it feels so good to talk to another human being. Stupid Flanders."
Hey, Homer, I need to ask you a favor. My babysitter canceled, and I've got tickets to a Christian rock concert.
And we see that he holds up his tickets, and it's Chris Rock in concert, which, by the way, he's coming to Dallas, and I really want to go see him for what it's worth if you're down. And I forgot I never responded to your concert thing last night. We should talk about that when we get off the air, and the answer is yes, so we've talked about it. But yeah, he's excited about this Christian rock concert, and he's like, "It's going to be such a wholesome evening. You think Marge could take care of Rowdy Roddy and Typhoon Todd?"
Well, Marge isn't here. She had to identify a body at the morgue.
And we get another cutaway, which I feel like, I will say, they've been doing more of recently, where they're a little more random. I'm not going to call them Family Guy random, but, like, this one's a little bit of just like we haven't really seen Marge in a while. Let's give her something to do sort of situation. We see Marge is looking at a body at the morgue, and she's like, "Nope, that's not my Uncle Lou. And this man's not dead."
That's just gas escaping the body.
It's Mole Man actually sits up and is like, "That's what I've been trying to tell you." And the morgue tech is still claiming it's just gas leaving the body. So we come back to the living room, and Flanders has no choice but to ask Homer himself if he would mind watching the kids, as "I'm kind of in a pickle here."
Well, they would keep me company, and this pickle you're offering only sweetens the deal.
This is actually kind of a cool scene and a cool pairing, I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Because we get Homer babysitting Rod and Todd, and it's like probably the first time we get to see those three characters, like, hanging out. And of course, Rod and Todd are being very much, like, just corrupted by Homer's laziness and gluttony, I would say. "Mr. Simpson, can we have another jelly and candy sandwich?"
Sure, knock yourselves out and call me Homer.
Daddy says it's rude to call grown-ups by their first name.
Well, Daddy's not here, is he?
And then, like, Homer starts to laugh, but then Rod and Todd kind of do that thing where they look at each other, and then they, like, knowingly start to laugh along too. And they've got junk food just all over the place. So they're living the good life tonight. And they're watching kids say the darndest thing with the most wholesome host of them all, Bill Cosby.
Now, my good man, what do you like to play?
Pokemon
with the pokey and the man, and the little guy comes out and
And he just fully breaks down into just complete gibberish. I mean, like, it goes on for a while. He's doing like hand flapping. It is a good parody of like what Cosby would kind of do on that show, to be honest, but it was obviously way over the top. But Homer's still like, they do say the darndest things. And when Flanders gets home, he's actually pleasantly surprised to find that the kids had a really good time, it seems. Rod says, yeah, Mr. Simpson was a really funny guy. Or he was really funny.
He told us how the world keeps screwing him over.
Yeah, well. Oh, how was the concert?
Well, sir, I never heard a preacher use the MF word so many times. Anyway, thanks again.
Yeah, it was fun. My kids are sick of all my stories, but these two just can't get enough of me.
And Mr. Simpson watch us every day?
Oh, Roddy, he's not running a daycare center.
Don't tell me what I'm not doing.
So you are running a daycare center?
Oh, you like that, wouldn't you?
I sure would. It'd give the boys a place to go after school.
Then I'll do it, just to see the look on your face.
And we cut to Flanders just with the biggest, happiest smile you can imagine.
That's the one.
This is just one of those weird scenes that, I think they go to this well a fair amount of times. As long as they don't overdo it, I think it's really funny. Where essentially just the emotional tone of what the dialogue is do not match at all. And that's like, the entire comedy comes from like the inflection of how these things are being said. It's very similar to that concept. Like if like you're talking to a dog, depending on it really matters more what tone you say it in, more so than what words you say it in. Like you can say like, "Oh, I hate you, you stupid piece of pooping shit. You're the absolute worst animal on the planet." Or you could say, "I love you very much, you fucker." Yeah, whatever, that type of thing.
I disagree wholeheartedly and think that my dog understands every word I'm saying all the time.
Yeah, your dog, much like, most people named Karen's kid, I'm sure, very special. We cut outside where we see Homer has taken this concept and ran with it. It's now a sign out front that reads Uncle Homer's Daycare Center. And this is the point, honestly, in this episode where I like had that like, oh shit, this is that episode moment.
Marge Simpson owner.
Yeah, but like legitimately, like whenever I saw that it was like, oh, this is where he runs a daycare, that's where my brain went like, oh, I remember this episode so well. I used to really like this one a lot.
Yeah, well, and so far it's been pretty enjoyable.
Yeah, I agree.
Much like this podcast.
I do love though the reason it's Marge's name on the side, and Homer's like, yeah, that's just for legal reasons. She's listed as the owner, actually. Oh, I like too. This is another one of those scenes that like really stuck out in my mind, and like I laugh about this concept all the time. The kids want to see Homer's scary looking knee scar, and Ralph wants to touch it, which like immediately I'm like, oh god, of all of the kids in Springfield, Ralph is the least person that I want to touch my open leg wound, just based on like what he touches throughout the day. You know what I mean? Like he's not going to have clean hands is what I'm trying to get at. But he puts his hand on Homer's knee and then he's like, oh, it's healing over my hand. And you can see like the scar is like engulfing him and like sucking him in.
From everything that Miles has just stated, I want to just throw this out there. Miles Francis II, owner of this podcast. Keep us out of trouble for legal purposes.
Yeah, just for you. Homer answers the doorbell. I'm sorry, Marge answers the doorbell when it rings, and it's actually Apu with his octuplets greeting Homer and saying literally, I want to take advantage of your baby prison.
We're calling it a daycare.
Yeah, whatever. Just take these kids.
Are they sweet? Any medical things I should know?
And we can already hear it's the classic like running away, driving away voice from outside, probably already in his car driving away. Apu replies, yes, probably. A month later, we cut to, and Homer's knee is completely healed. His scar work looks great. Even the doctor is impressed with his healing. And Homer talks about how he's getting such a positive feeling from being a part of this community, running this daycare. In fact, the only thing that gives him a bigger high is morphine. And he kind of does the elbow at Hibbert. And Hibbert opens up his doctor's jacket drug dealer style, and he's just got rows of morphine sitting there, and he gives him one. Cool-ass doctor is my point.
I mean, he's going to charge Homer more money, so yeah.
We see Homer playing peekaboo with Maggie's rival, Gerald, is the unibrow baby. And Lisa and Bart look on in amazement as they've never seen the adult get tired of peekaboo before the baby does.
No, wait, you've never seen the baby get tired of it more than the adult does.
Yeah, I may have said that backwards. That's accurate.
I'm so confused.
Yeah. when the baby gets bored and starts to crawl away, Homer literally grabs it and is like, "Hey, no, here, come back. Where are you going?" And starts to keep playing with him. But we actually see Rod and Todd interrupt this game and asks Homer to sing them that crazy song that they love. And it turns out the song is called "Is That All There Is?" And Bart and Lisa, this is the point where we see that they're getting a little bit jealous of this interaction. First of all, it was only supposed to be while Homer was healing, and he's already healed. And second of all, they haven't ever had Homer sing to them like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but then I discovered the joys of raising children.
But what about us?
Don't worry, honey. You'll have children of your own someday. Then you'll know my joy.
Very, very inconsiderate to say to your children. At the schoolyard, Bart and Ralph are eating at a picnic table, and Milhouse walks up. "Hey, Bart, your dad gave me this temp tattoo. It's so cool." And it's Homer riding a motorcycle, and it says "Homer rules." Vroom, vroom underneath.
You have the bestest dad. He read me a story about Chinese food.
And Bart's obviously frustrated by all this. You haven't seen the real Homer. It's all burping and neglect.
I think we know your dad a little bit better than you do, Bart.
But Ralph isn't there to back him up because he gets distracted by a butterfly and wanders away. Bart, though, then is realizing that Milhouse is wearing his jacket, and he confronts him about it.
He said it looked better on me.
And that, you can tell, really hurts Bart. The next night, we see in the living room, Rod, Todd, Milhouse, Nelson, and Ralph are all seated around Homer, and he is singing, "If you're happy and you know it, say I swear."
Boobs.
Heiny.
Mitten.
Bart and Lisa are watching from the banister on the second floor, and Bart even says it out loud. "I wonder why parents are nicer to everyone else's children than they are to their own kids."
True statement.
But Bart has a plan to hit Homer where it hurts, right in the nostalgia. Or really the Oz with the family loves and the whatnot. They send down a wrap present on a skateboard. They send it down the stairs in such a perfect configuration that it runs right into Homer's leg. Miracle. Homer's
now healed leg.
Yeah.
It could have been a dangerous game.
Homer unwraps the gift and is moved by a beautiful portrait of his family. But that's not the part that moved him. The part that moved him was the beautiful frame that it sits in. So Homer takes out the picture of him, Bart, and Lisa and replaces it with his daycare permit, and then puts that on the wall, literally tossing the picture to the ground. Bart and Lisa now come downstairs and see the pictures lying there, and they just kind of look at each other and hurt. And that actually brings us to the end of our second act, which was somehow longer. This is a weird one to me, because the second act is longer than the first act, but I feel like less actually happens in the second act.
Yeah, but you're seeing everything basically taking place either at the school lunch table that's outside or in the Simpsons living room, essentially. Is where all the stuff is going on. So I think that's probably why you feel that way, because in the first act you had the doctor's office and all the stuff going on in the YMCA and even some stuff in the Simpsons home. So like there's a whole lot more time and stuff happening in the first scene, whereas the second scene it's compartmentalized, Miles.
Yeah, no, I think that that makes a lot of sense, honestly, just with the lack of like moving around characters and locations.
That's what I'm here for, Miles, to make sense of all your gibberish.
Mm-hmm. Opening up Act 3, we are in the backyard. Homer is actually perched at the door of the treehouse, holding it down as like the tree is bent. And then he's basically counting down. And when he jumps out, we see that all of the kids from the daycare are inside the treehouse. And then like the tree flings wildly as the kids like are screaming in joy. But we take a wide shot to see that Ralph Wiggum flew out and landed on the like weather vane, like the thing that sits on the roof. And you think he's like even like, I almost died.
Yeah, he is. As kids will do. Almost dying and whatnot.
Right. At this point, all the kids are fine for what it's worth. But we see Marge comes out with a man we do not recognize, and she introduces him as from the Good Guy Awards.
We honor people who make life better for the community like you with your daycare center.
I contributed by not objecting too much.
Aw, that's my girl. Anyway, this film crew will shoot some behind-the-scenes footage of your amazing work.
Is there a snack table?
It's already set up.
And by the time the guy points to it, we see Homer is already like devouring the craft services. They start to film that, but he like does the angry like celebrity wave away, like don't film this. We see that the Simpsons home has become a production studio, which feels like this has happened. I think literally exactly this has happened in the past.
Yep.
Where Lisa and Bart's rooms are taken over by cables, live sets, and Teamsters.
Yeah, so Lisa's throwing a fit because she can't get in her own room. She's like, but it's my room. And
they give her an apple box to sit on, and that's like their consolation for her.
And then she sees Bart across the hall, like laying down on the ground. And that's when he says that Miles is pointing out that the Teamsters taking over his room.
Yeah. And Homer's actually doing a walking interview and ends up stepping on Bart as he comes through. He's like, oh, sorry, boy. I thought you were a pile of cables.
Which just makes it sting more.
Outside, we're doing more interviews, and the man is asking Homer about the Homer Cares program.
My kids wear these hearts to remind them that they're always loved.
Aw, did you make them yourself?
Yes, through the magic of caring.
And we cut to the garage where Bart and Lisa are very obviously frustrated that they are, in fact, the ones cutting out all of these hearts.
Night will come soon.
Bart and Lisa are at their breaking point. They've got to find a way to get back at their dad. And Lisa points out that she's been cutting these hearts pretty crooked.
No. We've got to show the world what Homer really is like. Then everything will be back to normal.
Yeah, back to normal. We jumped to the good.
We did
guy
that way
awards.
too well together, Miles.
Yes, that was script accurate. We cut to the actual Good Guys Awards, which is at the Springfield Civic Center, and inside, it's It's crusty,
full, dude.
It's
like
very
full.
full.
Like,
everyone cares about this event that no one's ever heard of. Krusty is hosting the show, of course, and he's singing a little bit, but immediately cuts off the song. Is like, whoa.
One more line and we have to pay for the song.
So he just goes to some bantering instead. And we see our first award, which is the biggest people pleaser. Nominees, Ned Flanders, Principal Seymour Skinner, and Mother Teresa.
Junior,
excuse me, yes. Principal Skinner is the winner. Flanders gets mad about it, and Mother Teresa breaks her rosary in anger. But
Junior.
For Skinner, he's having a minor surgery, so he's not able to accept his prize.
Now, I'm told there's a glitch in our internet webcast. So all of you out there, type control /semicolon alt.escape and you'll be fine.
Which, wouldn't you not be able to hear those instructions if you weren't able to watch on your computer? Anyway, Comic Book Guy is apparently the only person in town choosing this technology at this time in 2001. We see him using a very, very early iMac, and he follows the commands. Is like, that was way too energetic. Perfect.
Hey.
Over and over and over again. It's just a GIF. We see that the show is sponsored by Hanson's Hypno Coins. If you can find a Sturdio Hypno Coin, you buy it. And it's literally one of those like spinning black and white, like trippy spinning coins. Yeah. It's a wild sponsor.
Now, every year we find one good Samaritan so deserving that not recognizing him would make Santa Claus himself vomit with rage. Who writes this stuff?
We cut to backstage where it's Mr. Teeny the monkey with a cigarette and a typewriter. He's getting angry at his work, tearing up the paper, but we see his subtitle is, "I think it's remarkable I wrote anything at all."
Which is not the first time on The Simpsons we've seen monkeys doing the writing.
Yeah.
The blurst of times. This year's winner of the Saint Who Walks Among Us award goes to...
Oh, please let me win this, Lord, because if you don't...
Homer Simpson!
Yes! All my love has come back in trophy form.
Now let's take a look at Homer's wonderful work.
We cut to the film that they've been working on, and a narrator talks over some footage from the project. It looks like any other home in America, but this is the house that love built.
And it shows a bunch of kids playing tug of war, and then when it pans to the other end, it's Homer backing up in his car, pulling against all the kids.
He guns the engine at one point and like pulls it into a lamppost too, right?
Yeah, and then he gets out of the car, and like the car starts catching on fire, and he's just going.
His scabby knee became an infectious beacon of hope. I guess you could sum up Homer in 2 words.
Big phony. This is the real Homer, a beer-drinking meanie.
And Bart Simpson is there to show the proof that his father is not the man that they think he is.
And Homer's passed out, drunk on the floor with the Christmas tree up when he's just in his underwear.
And he's kind of like mumbling at the dog as Santa's little helper sniffs at him. And beer's
beer
everywhere.
Cans all over the place. And he gambles like crazy.
Homer's then shown at the kitchen table with Lenny, Moe, and Carl playing cards. And he actually places his baby Maggie in a pile of chips in the center of the table.
I'll call.
Moe has 3 9s.
Oh, I almost had it straight.
And then Moe's like, come to new Papa.
Hey, what's the deal?
Lisa points out that they've just spliced in some home movies to his award ceremony video and asks what Homer thinks.
Well, I'd rather reserve judgment until I... Oh my God!
And it shows Homer is literally chasing Bart down the street with a mace, as in like the medieval weapon, metallic spiky ball on a chain.
I'll mace you good.
Ah! And then Homer tries to declare it's completely taken out of context, so he climbs up on stage with Bart and starts strangling him again.
Why, you little...
Horrified, of course, the Springfield parents are getting their kids out of Homer's daycare center, and Homer vows that no one will take his kids, and he herds them out of the auditorium.
The term soccer mom is thrown around all too often these days, but the nominees in our next category...
Krusty's the professional, man. The show must go on. I'm on Team Krusty on this one. But there's obviously a now hostage situation involving children unfolding as Krusty tries to continue the award show. Homer is actually piling the kids into a box truck. And he drives off as Kent Brockman stands by.
An award ceremony erupted in kidnapping tonight as alleged good guy Homer Simpson absconded with several children in a stolen paddy wagon. Now let's go to Arnie Pie in the sky.
Yeah, I can see him right below me. I'm going to try to nail the driver with one of my shoes.
Arnie, please, leave this to the police.
I'm sick of being the reporter. I want to make the news.
Arnie, this is not the time.
You're not the time, Kent. You're not the time.
I thought in the previous scene that Homer was putting all the kids in the back of the car, including Ralph. And now in this scene, after Homer's already been driving, Ralph is magically in the front seat with Homer.
I can't speak to if Ralph was being pushed in there or not, but it is weird that Ralph is the person that he would choose to ride shotgun, quite frankly. And I know that Ralph didn't call shotgun. Like, that's something he's just not cognitively aware enough to do.
But he's used to sitting in the front seat with his dad in the police car, so he just naturally walked in and sat down up front in the car with all the mesh windows in the back.
Well, all Ralph wants to know is, where are we going, Mr. Simpson?
I'll tell you where we're not going. Jail!
And Milhouse pipes in, well, like, you better turn, because they see a sign that the jail is straight ahead.
Uh-oh.
And he swerves out of the road, managing to hit a tree, so that's worse than running into the jail, quite frankly. And Arnie is still up in the sky doing the narration of what we're seeing from below, and he's jumping out of the car, Kent. He's trying to climb over a fence. Now he's realizing he's too fat. He's digging a hole like a dog. Now he's given up on that, and he's running back and forth. He's climbing into the pipe, and he seems to be stuck. His legs are dangling in a comical fashion. Oh, it's the saddest thing I've ever seen.
Arnie, how are the children?
I can't see through metal, Kent.
And that's when the police officers all pull up and get out of their cars.
And they do what police do, draw weapons. To be fair, in this case, there's a child hostage situation, so I have mixed feelings about the situation.
Yeah. The police are drawing their weapons, but much like in real life, are not using the weapons.
Hey. And we're done.
Yep.
We see later that Homer is talking with his actual kids, and he's wondering, why did you rat me out? Was it because I showered love on those other children while ignoring you?
We see this later, but at the bottom it says 3 mistrials later.
Oh, yeah. That's how we avoid having to deal with all that, yeah.
Yeah.
And he pretty much nailed it, because Bart's like, yep, that's exactly why.
Pretty much.
Well, I learned my lesson. And he take the framed license of his daycare center out of the frame and put the picture of him and the kids back in. From now on, you kids are the only kids I'll care about. Oh, and Maggie. Now let's all enjoy the snack table while we'll still have it.
The Teamster said they'd pick it up by 5.
Yeah, that'll happen. Teamsters. And that brings us to the end of our third act. We get our normal closing credits, though at the end, when we usually get the Gracie shh, instead we get Bill Cosby saying, Pokemon. That does it for this episode, Children of a Lesser Clod. Richie, is there anything else that you or that book of yours want to say about this episode?
Yeah, when Homer was taking all the kids out of the auditorium, Mel stands up and says something about him taking off with the kids. And does Mel have children? Like, I want to know. He's at the Good Guy Awards there with all that other stuff, and I guess it doesn't matter.
He's there to support his boy Krusty, dude.
I guess so. Maybe so in the audience, which is weird. He's not on stage performing. Maybe he's getting an award. Who knows? But it just all seemed kind of like weird placement there. But I think they just wanted that bravado of the voice of his to step up there and point something simple out in a ridiculous fashion. But besides
he does have a good voice for that.
He does, absolutely. Besides that, this was a lot more fun of an episode, like I said at the top. There was just something about it, maybe because it was focused on Homer and shenanigans with him, but it just felt like cohesively it all fit together a lot more, even with the fact that he's in this ridiculous situation, and then they just have 3 mistrials that we don't even see. Months and months later, I'm sure.
Yeah, what could go wrong?
Mm-hmm.
I actually really, I think that's a really great time jump and really smart way of handling that situation, honestly, because we need the Simpsons reset. And kidnapping kids is a pretty big one to reset, frankly. So 3 mistrials feels like the right move. If I'm being honest. But yeah, I really like this episode a lot, man. I again, about halfway through, or really about a third of the way through it, I remembered that, like, it all came rushing back to me, like, oh, I know exactly what episode this is. One of those that I didn't really tie the YMCA storyline to the daycare storyline until I was reminded of it. But even with that said, it did feel like it flowed so naturally. It felt like a very cohesive 3 acts. Honestly, I feel like that is something that Al Jean always does very, very well, and he did write this episode, so that kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
But going back to all the way of what you said at the beginning of the show, I have to agree with you. This one felt really fun and really just kind of like a classic Simpsons adventure to some extent. And I'm looking back, I know we're already at the point, dude. Next week is our season finale, and then of course we'll do our finale spectacular, and that means that we're gonna have to rank these things, dude. And I'm kind of freaking out about it a little bit.
This is gonna be a tough one. This is gonna be. We might have to start making it the bottom 3 now.
Man, maybe, I don't know. I'm even trying to remember.
We've been trying to figure out something to do for the finale. Maybe instead of bottom 1, it's bottom 3 or 5. I don't know.
Just reverse it. Bottom 10, top 1. Or bottom 5, top 1.
Yeah.
I was going to go and try to look if it was convenient to do so, and I don't think it's just based on what I'm seeing already. I don't think it's going to be convenient. Of just like how long back it was that we like actually released, the first episode of this season.
It feels like it was a year ago.
Honestly, dude, all the way, like, just looking, season 12, episode 8 is the farthest one back on me right now, and that was back in January.
Jeez, 6 months ago.
Yeah.
5 months ago, I guess. But
here, season 12, episode 1 was October 24th, which...
Oh, crap, it almost has been a year.
Yeah,
4 months away.
This one got away from us, my dude. But no, it's good. It's fun. It's keeping it fresh, I hope. I'm having a good time.
It's always fun when Miles is here.
Well, on that note, it's a lot of fun when there's you guys listening to it, and it's not just the 2 of us talking to ourselves. So we appreciate all of you who listen to the show, download the show, share the show, support us on Patreon, do all those things. And if you're a person who's thinking about doing any of those things, do it. It'll be cool. You'll really like it. Several other people have done so in the past, and I don't think they regret it at all. So, yeah, listen to the show and share it with people and try to get the numbers out and give us money, because money is cool and we don't have any, and that would be nice. So, yeah, that's all I have to say about that. Richie, where can they follow us online?
You can follow Miles at Mr. Most Days Off all over social media. You can follow myself at TheWiz_Kid23. But most importantly, other than all that stuff, follow our show. That's at Best Darn Diddly. That is DIDDLY. If you're not sick of hearing our voices and you'd like to hear us talk about other stuff, we've done some recent podcasts on other shows too. So, Miles, where are those other shows? Because I am blanking on the top of my head.
Best Darn Everything. You can find it the same place you find Best Darn Diddly.
Oh, nice. Cool. No, I was talking about like the horror podcast.
I missed the toss up on that one. Yeah, Camp/Horrorcast. You can find that everywhere at Camp/Horrorcast. Good plug. Way to set me up and watch me fail on that one.
That's what we do each and every week here at Best Darn Everything.
Yeah, Best Darn Diddly as well. Really, both. Honestly, all of the above. And we'll be back
train
again.
Wreck.
We'll be back again next week, and this next episode features a train. How appropriate it might not wreck next week. Who knows? We'll find out. We'll be talking about the episode Simpsons Tall Tales.
And I hope one day all of our love for this show comes back in trophy form.
And until next time, you'll have to settle for the participation trophy.